Good afternoon, and welcome to the weekly update on our operation in Libya. My colleague, as you see, Colonel Roland Lavoie, will provide you with an operational overview in a minute. Before that, I would like to comment on one recent development which illustrates the importance of continuing our mission to protect civilians in Libya. On Sunday, Gaddafi forces launched for the first time an unguided short-range ballistic missile to attack the Brega area. This missile potentially could have killed many civilians. We strongly condemned the use of this kind of indiscriminate weapon in a way that puts civilians at risk. It shows that Gaddafi and his regime are desperate, and they continue to represent a serious threat to innocent people in Libya. We are protecting civilians as mandated by the United Nations Security Council, and we will continue putting military pressure on pro-Gaddafi forces for as long as it takes. Our actions are helping set the conditions for a political solution and transition to democracy. We hope that this can be achieved as soon as possible. The Libyan people deserve no less. And with this, I will hand over to Roland in Naples. Please, Roland.
Bonjour, Carmen. Thank you. Welcome from Naples. First, I would like to give you an overview of the situation on the ground, then on recent NATO operations over the past week. And I will be happy at the end to take questions either in English or in French. These last few days, we have witnessed significant advances of anti-Gaddafi forces on several fronts. In the northwest, where Gaddafi forces have lost considerable grounds, and also in the regions of Misrata and Brega. Last week, we saw significant movements of anti-Gaddafi forces progressing north from the Nufaza mountains, gaining Bir al-Ghanam, and also advancing across the flatlands towards the coast. Since then, as you have seen on television, the advance of anti-Gaddafi forces have continued towards the north, as they have now reached the coastal towns of Zawiya, Sabrata, and Surman, west of Tripoli. Anti-Gaddafi forces have also progressed eastward, reaching the towns of Al-Aziziyah, Garian, and Tahuna. Anti-Gaddafi forces are now assuming control of the key approaches to Tripoli. These advances are the most significant anti-Gaddafi territorial gain we have seen in months. Meanwhile, the return of people in the Nafusa mountains has begun. As the threat from Gaddafi forces has decreased, it is now safe for them to re-enter their homes. Similarly now, looking at the Misrata front, we have seen significant changes here again. As you may recall, pro-Gaddafi forces were until very recently attacking the local population in Misrata, mainly from the town of Taourga, which is located 40 kilometers south of Misrata. Last Friday, anti-Gaddafi forces freed the area from hostile forces, which is expected to further reduce the intermittent and indiscriminate shelling of Misrata by pro-Gaddafi forces, and also reduce the threat to the flow of humanitarian assistance. The threat emanating from Zlitan has also diminished. As pro-Gaddafi forces are being pushed further west, their ability to use short-range weaponry against the civilian population is eroded. On the Brega front now, it is now confirmed that the eastern edge of the town is now under anti-Gaddafi control, and the suburb town of New Brega is finally free of pro-Gaddafi forces. Unfortunately, the threat against Brega is not over yet. On August the 14th, NATO intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance assets detected the launch of an unguided short-range surface-to-surface missile from the vicinity of Sirte. Its point of impact was roughly 5 kilometers east of Brega, which is an area currently under control of anti-Gaddafi forces. The use of such missiles present a direct threat to innocent people. Although the surface-to-surface missile in Gaddafi's arsenal are highly inaccurate and are not designed to hit a specific target, they are a weapon of terror. Their use against an urban or industrial area is utterly irresponsible. On August the 15th, further reports indicated that 2 oil storage tanks were burning in Brega, demonstrating again Gaddafi's intent to destroy or damage key infrastructure that the population of Libya will need after the conflict. Brega has been a ghost town for several months. It is hoped that the gradual retreat of pro-Gaddafi forces will change the situation and facilitate the return of the civilian population. Notwithstanding very encouraging signs on the ground, NATO forces have been very active in denying pro-Gaddafi forces the means to use their command and control nodes and their combat assets, as we have conducted numerous airstrikes and provided naval gunfire support in the vicinity of Zlitan, Tripoli, Brega, and Taruga. Over the last week alone, NATO assets damaged or destroyed around 150 military targets. The persistent and cumulative action of NATO is creating an obvious effect, as attacking pro-Gaddafi forces are gradually losing their capabilities to command, to conduct, and to sustain their attacks on the civilian population. While Libyans regain their towns, combat zones gradually return to life, and families are returning to their homes, as we can observe in the Nafusa Mountains, where thousands of people have returned to their homes since the end of July, according to the UNHCR. In fact, it is estimated that 70% of Libyans or more who have fled to Tunisia for safety in the first months of the conflict have already returned to their homes. But the mission is far from over. The Alliance is committed to see the mission through. On this, Carmen will take some questions.